let's talk about 5 non-negotiables for successful resistance movements. You can call them guiding principles, if you will. These are from the Free DC movement. And maybe all of them are already familiar to you. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing all these things. How can you deepen your exploration and application of each of these 5 principles? I'm going to list all 5 of them and try and give an example of each. But I would encourage you to think of other examples, ones that you have been engaging in, or maybe new things, new tactics, new strategies, new applications of these 5 different non-negotiables. Number 1, do not obey in advance. I think we've all heard that phrase a lot by now, right? Don't obey in advance, don't comply in advance. I prefer to frame it as fuck you, make me, because don't obey in advance makes it sound like there is some point in the future where you might potentially obey, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that. There is no point at which we bend the knee to fascism. They cannot win as long as we keep fighting. A good example of do not obey in advance that got brought up in the Protect Oregon meeting that I went to earlier today was how we are seeing airports all around the country refuse to show Kristi Noem's propaganda video, which is a likely violation of the Hatch Act, misuse of our tax dollars, and also just absolutely full of lies. Airports all over are like, no, we're not showing your propaganda video. We don't have to do that for you. We're not here to do you any favors, Kristi Noem. Other examples would be Harvard refusing to comply and even being willing to go to court rather than bend the knee to the regime. And they win in court, they win in court. Also, real quick, if you're an alumna or an alumnus of UVA, University of Virginia is bending the knee. They have agreed to go along with Donald Trump when other schools like MIT have said, jog off. UVA has decided that they are going to obey in advance. So if you're a member of the UVA Alumni Association, it would be a good time for y'all to be organizing about how you would like to respond to your alma mater. Another example here would be government officials refusing to obey, refusing to break the law when the regime asks them to. We saw DOJ attorneys say that there was not enough evidence to indict Adam Schiff, even though Donald Trump has really had it out for Adam Schiff ever since he was on the January 6th commission. We have people who are willing to step down and quit their jobs. We have people who are willing to stay in their jobs and say, I'm not doing that. Do not obey in advance for us can look like not normalizing the rhetoric of the regime, not letting the propaganda of the regime be something that we take as fact and we repeat as if it is inevitable, as if Donald Trump gets to write the future of this nation. Refusing to concede the future of this nation to Donald Trump and the fascists, that is a way that we do not obey in advance. And also, that's a battle that we're fighting in our own heads, right? And that is a crucial part of resistance. And number 2 is prioritize joy. And I think that some of us in resistance work can struggle with this one. We see so much suffering around us. We're so righteously angry at all of the oppression and brutality and human rights violations that this regime is enacting on a daily basis. We feel like we have to just be driven by rage. We have to stew in our rage. And we forget that letting the regime rob us of joy is a way that we give them a victory, and that successful resistance movements throughout history have prioritized joy. I think Portland has done a really good job of this with our tactical frivolity. When we look at line dancing, when we look at tea parties and bands playing in banana suits and dancing and laughing at the ICE protests. And we've seen this in Los Angeles as well, right? A lot of protests centered around music and dancing and culture. Prioritizing joy is not just about our stamina, our longevity, and the resistance. It's not just about keeping our hope alive. It's really a tactical choice. And I really want to encourage you to think about how your group, the actions that you're taking, can prioritize joy. Yes, we're angry. Yes, we're sad and heartbroken, but the regime wants us to be that way. They want us to fall into despair, and so we will not give them a win there. This is the one life that we get to live, y'all, and we've got to take time to make sure that we are actively pursuing joy. Okay, number 3 is take up space. This can look like things like No King's Day, which is where you want a mass physical demonstration, right? Think of all those drone videos and all of those long shots down, like the waterfront here in Portland or in Manhattan, at Capitol buildings around the country on No King's Day, these huge gatherings of hundreds of thousands, millions of people Yeah, that's a way that we take up space. But maybe you are somebody who is in a red rural area and taking up space for y'all looks like a half a dozen or 15 people showing up. Yeah, we need those mass gatherings like Portland, 60, 80,000 people. But it is also those little dots of protest happening all over the country. Every red community in this country had a protest. I think there were something like 2,700 protests around the US on No King's Day, too. Those small protests that are scattered all over the place, those are also a way that we take up space. Because don't forget, it's about our aggregated power, right? It's this little protest here, and there's a line connecting it to this one here, and a line connecting it to this one up here. And so we form this web, this network. It's a visual demonstration to all of the pillars of support under the regime that like the resistance is everywhere. We are dug in like a tick in every part of this country. Everywhere you turn, you will find people opposed to the authoritarian plans of Donald Trump, opposed to the violations of our rights and the destruction of our Constitution. Everywhere you turn, we are there. Likewise, another way that we can take up space that Chicago is doing really well, and I want to talk about how Portland is learning, like folks from Chicago are teaching us about their tactics. We are learning to emulate what they're doing and start applying it here in Portland, and that is through whistle brigades. Like I have so much fondness for Chicago, and not just because of my undying love for Fall Out Boy, but also because they are so good at organizing to resist ICE, and they are developing new tactics and new strategies. New ways of resisting are emerging in the moment, and Chicago is showing us how they are evolving, adapting, applying these really new effective tactics of taking up space. When ICE shows up, everybody in the neighborhood, they roll out, right? These whistle brigades, somebody in your neighborhood on your street, you hear that really loud, shrill whistle, and everybody steps outside. Another person starts whistling, and it becomes this huge group of people, like a swarm from all over the neighborhood. That whistle indicates ICE is here, and we all need to get our butts out in the street, and we all need to be screaming at them, insulting them. Shaming works really well against ICE. We were talking about other forms of taking up space, like accompanying immigrants to court or showing up and lining the sidewalks outside of schools, because ICE in Chicago and here in Portland has been waiting to catch parents who are driving their children to school. So what are the ways that your group can take up space as an effective form of resistance? Also a good time to remember that nonviolent direct action is not peaceful. It is highly disruptive. Taking up space is a form of disruption. Number 4 is practice solidarity. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. We have to look out for each other because the government isn't any of the safety nets and frameworks and institutions that were meant to use our tax dollars to take care of our fellow Americans, to protect the most vulnerable among us and give all of us a decent quality of life. Yeah, the regime has dismantled all of those to funnel that money toward the American Gestapo known as ICE and also straight up to billionaires. As food banks are running short on supplies all across the country, and 42 million Americans, 12% of Americans, are about to lose food assistance, we have to figure out how to feed each other. We have to figure out how to meet each other's basic needs. The government may hold back funds for WIC, that's Women, Infants, and Children, starting November 1st. I used to work for WIC a really long time ago. Our family took WIC for all 4 of our children. WIC provides crucial nutrition assistance for pregnant people and children under 5. It is the #1 purchaser of formula in the United States. The Save the Children Party of Family Values wants to cut off nutrition assistance for pregnant women and babies and children under 5. So we have to make sure that we feed each other. How else can we practice solidarity right now? Could you offer to go get groceries or go to the pharmacy for your neighbors who are afraid to go out, who are being targeted by the regime? Could you volunteer to accompany folks or run their errands for them? What else? What else? Number 5 is organize, right? We have to come together. We have to pool our resources. We have to skill build. The regime wants us separated, isolated, feeling small and powerless. We have to come together and strategize in order to wield this tremendous collective power effectively. So get involved in your local resistance groups, be it Indivisible, be it Protect Oregon, be it Free DC. Find a group where you are and plug in and organize. And remember, we do not obey in advance. We prioritize joy, we take up space, we practice solidarity, and we keep organizing.